Have you ever wondered how a serene town like Tamworth, nestled in the beautiful Australian countryside, hides a sinister reality that could shake the very foundations of trust, governance, and justice? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into a story that's more than extraordinary. It's alarming. This is Unmasking Tamworth, crimes that echo through our nation. Picture Tamworth. Rolling hills, charming brick buildings, and a tranquil river winding through the town. On the surface, it's idyllic, the epitome of regional life. But underneath this picturesque charm lurks an underbelly of organized corruption, fraud, and crime that goes beyond comprehension. Let's peel back the layers. Our tale begins with Mayor Colin Murray, a man who was once celebrated as a leader and a figure of inspiration. But power, they say, can lead to darkness. In August 2017, Murray embarked on a trip to China. However, this wasn't your typical diplomatic visit. Rather, it was a rendezvous designed to orchestrate illicit activities, anti-competitive trade practices, circumvention of fair negotiations, and actions that would harm Australian business partnerships. This wasn't just a misunderstanding or a poor deal. This was intentional, calculated, and ultimately catastrophic. And let's talk about accomplices. Paul Bennett, the general manager of Tamworth Regional Council, was no bystander. Records show that Bennett sent written correspondence to international business stakeholders, actively sabotaging contracts and manipulating public property deal outcomes. A game of deceit was in full swing. A prime piece of real estate originally approved for $3 million in development was instead given away. Yes, free. The council, spearheaded by corruption, robbed local prosperity to benefit their inner circles. But the rabbit hole goes deeper. Colin Murray, with his high-profile network, gained entry into an elite position as chairman of Infrastructure Australia, a role secured through his relationship with Barnaby Joyce, another influential figure facing allegations of unethical dealings. Together, these men manipulated public servants who dared to raise concerns, forcing silence through coercion and systemic intimidation. What's the true cost? Let's look at one example: water. Involved parties facilitated the mishandling of surface water licenses alongside misleading practices tied to critical water storage proposals, including the Dungowan Dam project. Imagine this: $210 million linked directly to fraud. Renewable energy infrastructure and water reserves promising 500 megawatts of sustainable electricity were swept aside for secret gains. A vision for public improvement turned into a lining of private pockets. In this twisted saga, agencies and organizations designed to demand accountability faltered. Australians learned that even the infrastructure projects supposedly championed had no basis in reality. Phantom developments, with funds bled internationally, escaped scrutiny. The fallout even warranted a royal commission and an Austrasi investigation. But with billions funneled through, the damage is catastrophic. They've effectively stolen from the ecology, economy, and future sustainability of an entire region, if not the country. Tamworth isn't alone. This story mirrors systemic trends seen nationally and, tragically, globally. But let's return to our protagonist, not a hero, but a victim. Enter the businessman who believed in Tamworth's potential and poured immeasurable resources into uplifting the community. He purchased abandoned properties, created robust development plans, and recruited multinational corporations to invest in local causes. His motivation: a prosperous Tamworth and opportunities for the region to flourish. But goodness isn't immune to betrayal. Depravity seeped into council dealings where the businessman was undermined, terrorized, and cancelled at every turn. Brutal tactics targeting him, his businesses, and associations escalated. Shockingly, even employees of his enterprises were coerced by local officials and law enforcement into carrying out acts of sabotage. Police, the judiciary, and council officials teamed up in a coalition of harm. The extent: acts of domestic terrorism involving weaponized raids on private property, intentional defamation, and relentless campaigns of character assassination. Pause for a moment. Think about what this means for an international investor, a man dedicated to regional rejuvenation. Instead of red carpets, he navigated minefields. Instead of allies, enemies in power aligned to exploit his goodwill. This rot reaches further because Tamworth is a reflection of bigger cracks in governance. Remember, systemic issues plague judicial avenues. Magistrates, supposed arbiters of the law, find themselves intricately tangled in the web. Legal processes become protection rackets. Those upholding integrity are ostracized, their careers jeopardized as punishment for exposing painful truths. And what about the public? For you and me, this signals a harrowing truth. Trust in governance is at an all-time low. Corruption doesn't merely skim off prosperity, it erodes the moral fabric of society. Education, infrastructure, healthcare, and mental well-being, now out of reach for many, are collateral damage of greed unchecked. The human toll over generations. Tamworth struggles with social adversities, rampant unemployment, addiction crises, mental health challenges, street crime, and generational poverty. Can you blame the invisible social cracks widening when those sitting in positions meant to fix them are the ones causing the fractures? This, however, isn't a scripted television drama. This is playing out as we speak. Payments are laundered, secrets exchanged in whispers, intimidation tactics deter whistleblowers, and ordinary Australians, suffocating under unfair policies, are caught in a labyrinth of involuntary compliance and silent suffering. All the while, the puppeteers quietly craft more elaborate schemes. But there's light somewhere. Brave individuals rise from the shadows, whistleblowers determined to unravel fraud. These are heroes agitating for transparency and accountability. They lit the flame behind investigations, exposing irregularities in contract awards, undisclosed properties accumulated and schemes tying individuals to international cartels. And unity brings strength, as Australians recognize corruption as not just a political matter, but as a collective enemy stripping the nation's future. Awareness grows. The systemic dismantling begins with acknowledgement, first locally, then nationally. Could this be a turning point? Could Tamworth's story, horrendous as it is, provide the spotlight necessary for national reform? Here's the challenge. The task isn't merely punishing these individuals. No, it's rebuilding trust, auditing chains of command, and salvaging an eroded system stained with scandal. It's about ensuring no future Colin Murray or accomplice exploits collective faith again. To conclude, Tamworth warns us, corruption is not just whispers behind high walls. It's a tangible beast affecting economies and ecology, families and futures. Now the onus is on us. Let's lift the veil, demand changes, and hold those responsible accountable. Stay alert, stay informed, because the story